Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 2 in Boston is over, so many storylines to dive into therefore over the coming days. Atlanta FaZe take down the championship, beating Los Angeles Thieves in 4 maps in the grand finals, or 4-2, but they took 4 maps off LA Thieves. The only other team to take any maps off Thieves this tournament, which was also 4 maps, was none other than OpTic Texas. Arguably they should have beaten Thieves in the losers brackets, certainly that's what Karma seems to believe. Was this an acceptable tournament for OpTic, or should they consider changes if the possibility arises? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. A couple of crazy things to mention today. I didn't even really realise this until last night, but I don't believe FaZe lost a search and destroy this tournament. We know the classic thing from Nadeshot, search and destroy wins championships. Slasher was brought into this team to basically do 2 things. Improve their search that wasn't that good last year, and actually ice up on a Sunday, I guess was the plan as well, because they couldn't seem to do that last year either. Both of those counts have been achieved. I'm still surprised when I think about looking back at this move that people were so critical of bringing a guy like Slasher into this team, but obviously it's worked out for them at the second time of asking. Whether they can go on a dominant run like they did in Carbor is highly unlikely given the state of the competition of the league right now, but nonetheless they were the best tournament, or well, the best team this weekend, this tournament. And speaking of Slasher, right, he's now won a tourney in 6 different titles dating back to Advanced Warfare. Then I think he finished his robotic engineering degree in about Black Ops 3 time, and then since then he's been kind of on point. Maybe he's just a Major 2 merchant, although that some people were saying that, right, because last year in Vanguard somehow he won that with Los Angeles Guerrillas. So yeah, now he's won again. Will he go again? I mean, year 10 of his career. It's interesting really because Slash is still playing some of his best Call of Duty I think ever really, given the level of the league, still delivering in grand finals in big moments and stuff like this, despite the fact that his contemporaries of his age, he's 28, right? Slash is the oldest player in the league apart from Clayster now. Like, you know, they're struggling to perform at that same level. Methodz retired yesterday, of course. Scump retired a few weeks ago, but Slasher does seem to have an awful lot of gas left in the tank. I don't think Slasher's ever really discussed retirement, right? Even Attach, I think in a Reddit AMA a few weeks ago said, you know what, Attach has got 2 or 3 more seasons in him, and that's going to be it for his career. Maybe Slasher feels the same way, but I don't think he's really mentioned it, and I don't know if he really intends to retire, especially if you can team with these guys. Why would you bother retiring? There was a bit of controversy actually that Simp was awarded the MVP. I think it was difficult to say, to be honest. Like, it was either Simp, aBeZy, or Cell. I think it's like just how it's going to be with this team. To me, aBeZy might have been my pick, to be honest. Maybe for this major, Simp is deserving, but I think aBeZy was the key player for them this entire stage, and obviously also made the key play to win them the series, which was that 1v2 round 10 on iLLeY search and destroy. So I mean, yeah, Simp gets the MVP. Both the Tiny Terrors had a crazy tournament as well. Cellium is so unbelievably consistent. Like, okay, we give some flack to Cellium when they lose and he drops crazy numbers, but he drops crazy numbers regardless. He had a 1.22 in the finals. He had a 1.3 again at this tournament. Like this, I mean, it is greatness. It's got to be said. There's no one who's done this consistently than Cellium has, and I feel like there's an element to which we're maybe underappreciating prime Cellium or what he's able to do. Okay, yes, he snakes a fair bit, but in fairness, so does Drazah on the other side of the stage. But look at this series from the Tiny Terrors. 111 kills for aBeZy, 107 kills for Simp. Like, this is vintage stuff. And as much as Octane could try, he had a phenomenal tournament individually. Wasn't to be. They ran out of gas a little bit, and Thieves go down in a phenomenal grand finals, it's got to be said. Before we talk OpTic though, and the team of course that Los Angeles Thieves took down, if this ever wants to load, Boston Ridge do mention the Kings of Challengers, which were these guys last night. A surprise victory. There was some drama about this actually, but Nagafin's coaching this team now, and it was Decimate, the team of Ghosty, iLLeY, 2Real, and Fellow that won the championship. Bit of a surprise really. I think they took down the Rokkr Academy of GodRx and come in the grand finals. Like, Ghosty has certainly been a name that's been around a while at this point, and I mean, look, we believe that Beans is coming in for Methodz in the starting team for Boston. He was one of the top players in Challengers. There's a good argument to say Ghosty could do the same thing for another team. Plenty of players down there, but yeah, impressive result. 2Real winning another Challengers tournament, pretty impressive stuff as well after his difficult stint on Florida Mutineers last year, and Fellow after I believe he was going to actually retire and call it a day for Challengers. Pretty cool stuff that he won this event. I believe $30,000 maybe for the champions here. Speaking of Thieves real quick, as Envoy says, played so well this weekend just to throw that control, and obviously the iLLeY search and destroy was tough for them, and then they got bodied in the control. But an incredible run from Thieves. I'm sure they'll take a lot of confidence here, because I said throughout the weekend, I was like, you know, the Champs curse, I know that it's a thing, and it's been a thing for many years, so I just wonder if we're actually going to see a team break the curse. I mean, if FaZe couldn't do it in Vanguard from their dominant Cold War season, then I don't know if we're ever going to see his team do it, but Los Angeles Thieves have come as close as any for quite some time, and you would maybe say, okay, okay, well, Thieves playing like this, they should at least win one event this season, which would break the champ's curse. That's never been done before for a World Championship winner. But they did take out OpTic, and this, of course, was the map that most people are frustrated about. I know that the clip I'm going to share from Karma here in a second is from the next map, where they didn't watch the ladder jump up on aBeZy hardpoint, which also was frustrating. But it was this control that was a swing mode, right? Because if this went game 5, I think OpTic should have been favoured game 5. Their Search and Destroy was so good. They beat them, LA Thieves, in game 5 earlier in the tourney. Just win this map, you get to game 5 guaranteed. And, you know, Shotzzy made a play, he pushed out a bit too far. Dashy was not pre-aiming, and, you know, Huke made a certain play, and it all just collapsed for OpTic, despite the fact that they were on the verge of winning. And, you know, it's so hard to win offenses on this map. The gifting Thieves one was not the way to go. And even as Denzer and Temp comment on this, Shotzzy just milked so bad running out of maps there. He could have just sat on the godheady and angle and licked his lips. Didn't do that, and it came back to bite the OpTic guys. Parasite gave his thoughts on this as well. Shotzzy just, you know, scammed that defensive round so hard. No reason to run at them in the spawn trap, 20 seconds left on the clock. It's just the discipline. We've said it for a couple of weeks with this OpTic team. They're just not a particularly disciplined squad. If they can learn it, I think they can be super good, but there's a, you know, there's a difference between having the talent that OpTic has and actually being able to use it in the appropriate way in all the moments and not throw away advantages that they had. As Shotzzy says, GG's to Thieves, lost 3-1. Dashy's not happy about this stuff, as we'll see here. How does one regain, he says. So this is the thing for Dashy, right? He was brought back into this team. He's basically been the hard carry of this team so far. Dashy, according to Hex, is now undroppable. Whether that's actually true, given that he got dropped twice in the space of a few months, I don't know. But still, obviously you're not dropping Dashy at the moment. Shotzzy is also the future with Dashy. The question is, what happens to the rest of the team? Especially because you look at the numbers, and they kind of paint the picture that the most replaceable players here are iLLeY and Huke. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Huke was never their first choice anyway. iLLeY had a bit of a rough series here, finishing out the map like 4 in 21 or whatever he did at the end of that embassy. Wasn't ideal either. And, you know, he had a good online stint. On LAN, not quite to the same degree. And I know that a lot of OpTic fans are already saying, all right, iLLeY, you know, it's time to go type thing. I think it's a bit early, right, to blow this team up yet. Top 4 of this major was, I think, I said it going into the weekend, that would be a respectable result from OpTic. They needed to get at least top 4 here to prove that they can do what they can do. And in fairness, they were the only team that really came close to beating Thieves apart from FaZe in the grand finals, and they even beat them earlier in the weekend. The loss to Rokkr, though, was pretty brutal, and, you know, I'm just not sure I can see this team having the consistency over a weekend to actually win a tournament the way they're playing at the moment. So, you know, the question is really there. If Huke is potentially going to move on at some point from this team anyway, given the fact that Pred is still wanting to join OpTic, does it happen sooner than the end of the season? Does it happen that maybe there's an option for iLLeY? I don't know if there really is. I know they rate iLLeY a lot here. Do you want to blow up Zeo? It's tough, right? I think really that the issue is they've got to fix some of their discipline problems, because obviously the talent is there. And the funny thing to me is that all of this team, with the exception of Dashy, and even Dashy included, have had success with Rambo as their coach, right? Obviously, in Dashy's case, it was only Major 1 last year where, you know, Dashy and co won that tournament when Rambo was coaching, but all these other guys on the Dallas Empire days previously also had success with Rambo. So, you know, obviously Dashy doesn't get on with Rambo. There's no doubt about that one. But do the other guys really, you know, hate Rambo or what he brings to the team? I don't know necessarily. Do they need a figure like Rambo to say, you know, can he coach the 3 of them and just not coach Dashy? Or can Dashy and Rambo work it out or something? I don't know, because JP is an analyst, right? And look at this. I mean, this kind of shows the discipline. This is their first series against Thieves, but look at all these Thieves break. OpTic rotate, which is pretty rare for OpTic in a COD history, but they just get broken every time because their setups are, you know, they chill a bit too heavy and all this, and they clutch them, of course, on the final one of that map. And as JP said, so many chances to win each map, such a tough way to lose. And JP's, you know, mainly an analyst. He's not really going to be necessarily the coaching role. And, you know, we've said recently, do you really want to tell Shotzzy and these guys how to play the game? Maybe not, but, you know, there's got to be a grey area there somewhere, right? And Karma actually was getting deeply frustrated with this, because Rambo and Karma were kind of doing a stream where they would discuss and break down the situations. I mean, I didn't get to watch much because I was at the venue, right? But definitely interesting commentary. And Karma in this clip is clearly frustrated with some of the plays that are being made on the OpTic side here. And you got to wonder whether some changes in their approach here in the key moments, whether that means like actually having someone step in as a coach again. I don't know, right? I mean, maybe it can't be Rambo anymore, but it still does raise the question.
I want to say, why is Ender in the staircase? Why is Kyler not looking at the ladder when they have a trophy? He throws a trophy there. We think somebody's going to jetpack up or something, or a wall run? What game we playing? I don't know. And we want to be weird about it. What are we looking at? Watch out for the sniper, I guess. Guys on top of, oh, yeah, actually, you got to watch out, bro. You got to watch out. You know where we dropping nukes? Let me go back. Hold up. Wait a minute.
One is gone. We could end it here.
That building right there, that's where we camped for the nukes. Maybe he thought somebody was up there with a sniper. I'm not sure. That's a pretty good angle on there. Normally in Warzone, we don't see people in that corner, but if they were,
Dashy's calling in the street
pretty
as well
good
as he
spot,
just
I'm
earned.
not going to lie.
30 seconds still.
The other part of the story, of course, here then is the Pred discussion, because we know that Seattle Surge aren't going so well. We know that Pred isn't having a great time on that organization. Clearly, I mean, look, I don't think that organization is going to be the same team before going into Major 3. If it is, fair enough, we'll see. But if Pred can go, then he probably wants to. Now, would OpTic, before their own home major, drop Huke immediately? Seems unlikely. It feels almost inevitable, unless Huke turns up massively towards the end of the season and they win everything including champs, that this is going to happen regardless. But based on the early insight we have, it might not be happening, right? So Pred to OpTic probably will happen at some point. Whether it can happen quicker than the end of the season is the key question to me. Will Surge decide, you know what, OpTic, you offered us, I don't know, 800k before, we'll now take that 800k, I don't know, like OpTic probably wouldn't offer that anymore, right? They'd offer maybe 500, 400, maybe they wouldn't offer anything just because, yeah, Hex might not want to deal with Seattle Surge after the drama they had the first time around. So maybe Pred is just going to be stuck there, right? But, you know, OpTic also do have to consider the fact that, you know what, if they were to give up a certain amount of cash to try and get Pred from Surge before the end of the season, it might increase their chance of doing, I mean, it would, I think, increase their chance of doing something towards the end of the season. Even Pred here was commenting on the ladder thing, right? The ladder cheese at the end of the game, kind of, you know, also saying, wow, maybe OpTic should have watched that one, right? Maybe if he was on the team, he would have watched it, right? Who knows? But clearly, he wants to join. OpTic probably want him at some point. Whether it happens before the end of the season, I don't know. As I say, this tournament for OpTic was acceptable, but I don't think it was much more than acceptable. I mean, the loss to Thieves is definitely fine if it wasn't for the fact in which, you know, the manner in which they lost. And also the Rokkr series, they got blown out of the water. So, you know, I still think they're a different level behind where Thieves are and FaZe are in terms of their teamwork right now. And maybe the argument is that you run it out through stage 3, see how things go at your home major, and then if things go badly at the home major in Texas, then, you know, if Pred's still an option, which he more than likely will be, then maybe the possibilities there. But very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.